So thank you for taking the time today. My name is Jay Steinback. I am the current CEO and founder of a group called yWhales. So real quick, I am not a journalist, so everything you're about to hear is from the eyes of a business professional. Everything that you're about to hear is coming through thousands of hours of interviews, hundreds of podcasts, and a true desire for a business professional over the last really decade to understand where Web3 is today and where it's going in the future. So we have taken the time and interviewed hundreds of the top developers, the top entrepreneurs in the Web3 space, producing hundreds of hours of podcasts designed to do one thing, and that's to gain global adoption by the business professionals today into Web3 today and tomorrow. So let's start off with what is the Metaverse? And that's a really broad question, but at the very base, at the current author of the Metaverse, it's a massively scaled, interoperable network of real-time, let's go from there, maybe 3D, maybe 2D, but it needs to be immersive. So let's talk about the current state and what we've been hearing from, again, our guests, our entrepreneurs that are in our network. So right now, this is a group of probably some of the top professionals that are active in the field, heads down, building in this space. You may recognize some of these names, and the list is quite more extensive than just this. So let's hear from them, really what they are saying today in the last few months on our podcast. We'll save you the time of watching all the clips. No audio?
During COVID, there was this kind of moment for me where young people lost their jobs at 3 to 5 times the rate of every other age group. And they were already in low pay, 0 hours, they weren't getting furloughed, to bake banana bread at home. And at the same time in the hiring market, big major employers were screaming out for project managers, software developers, engineers.
A lot of people say, hey, the metaverse is going to replace the internet. It's the next internet, right? I actually see it as a little bit differently. Essentially, what I think is that the metaverse expands the internet.
Is Metaverse going to replace the real world? It's not as good as the real world, but it's much better than what we have today, like Zoom, like Google Meet, like Teams, when we're only in 2D. 2D now you will have 3D technologies. You can see, like you said, people moving around.
The pain point that's always been young people's is now employers and everybody else's, because there's 1 billion new tech roles needed by 2030. That's 1 in 7 people on the planet, give or take. And that's not from 2030, that's by, so it's now.
There's a long way to go where a lot of the stuff that comprises what we believe the metaverse is going to require hasn't yet reached that MPEG-4 standard quality, where we know that avatars need to be nearly 1,000 times smaller than they currently, maybe not 1,000, but at least 100 times smaller than they currently are. And a lot of graphics and a lot of applications and other things need to fit into a format that is streamable.
I think the biggest misconception is, hey, this is a way to make money. And yes, by the way, it is a way to make money if you do it the right way and you design the right campaign and you design the right way to engage and reward your community.
It's very easy for all tides all ships to rise if the tide is very high in a bull market. But the games that are sustaining themselves today in what is arguably, one of the worst markets in crypto in a long time are the ones that can probably sustain themselves for the long term and also have the strongest communities behind them as well.
So switching back over to this audio, thank you. So what you just saw was a combination of hardware, software, and also business engagement. So we're really hearing from all the different professionals that we're trying to say everyone's building in this space. Everyone believes, like, I don't need to sit in front of you guys and say the metaverse is going to be happening or not. Every one of you believe. The core issue that yWhales is trying to solve is how do we all build in the same direction? How do we gather all this energy, all this time that people are spending and move it down the path where the bridges interconnect, that the highways are running in parallel? And that's where we spend a lot of time and take the time to interview these people that are heads down. They're not attending the conferences because they're trying to build. They're trying to understand, and they're building the base layers from that. So what we're going to talk about real quick is 4 topics that we talk about all the time on yWhales on our podcast, on our live events: gaming, socialization, education, and commerce. Gaming, again, there's so many people that have been on the stage that just kill it on gaming. So we're just going to take a quick second and I'll give you a point of alpha. This is one of our community members. It's a game called Silks.io that is a digital twin of a real-life racehorse to a virtual racehorse in a metaverse. And this is actually brand new. In fact, the CEO said he's never shown it anywhere. So this is the first visualization of today, a metaverse getting to launch here very, very shortly. I'm gonna drive the poor AV guy wild with the back and forth on all the stuff here. So Silks is a really cool utility-based real-world asset. So they're trying to say not only can we make it really cool online, but we can also have real-world value, of which somebody that owns this racehorse theoretically can go to any of the tracks and see their horse. And they're collaborating already with racetracks. And so we're seeing this blend of real world and meta right off the bat. Socializing. This is a big one, and again, there's so many people that have stood up on stage and just crushed it on this topic, and I'm just gonna say, here's the biggest gaps that we are seeing. Number one, no one's gonna say that Web3 is user-friendly today. We get it, we totally understand. Interoperability, and it has to be more than just my NFT or my avatar can go back and forth. There's a lot of data that's being generated in these games, and we have to create a conduit from game to game that it's not just the visualization going through, it's all the data, the memories, and really the kind of the essence of why you're on one metaverse and bridging into another. And most importantly, guys, make it fun. Really focus on the game first, and we heard that quite a bit from the other developers, that they want things to be fun first and Web3 a little bit in the background. So Alvin is he's the president of HTC's hardware, and he really says in HTC's mind, a lot of you have their phones and they have AR, VR glasses, everything else, that the metaverse needs to expand, not replace the internet. And a lot of times we're saying throw away Web 2. Web 2 is great. Web 2 has a lot of great features and it works. We can expand on that with Web 3. Jumping into education. So we truly already know, and you guys have seen it, during the pandemic, Zoom suddenly went crazy. We can have the best professors, the best educators in the world connected to students anywhere in the world in real time. That's powerful, but they need the tools. They need the ability to communicate with things that are not just Zoom and Teams. They need to be able to facilitate data back and forth the same way. So we have to be a little more inclusive of those third-party things that are needed, such as screen sharing and also being able to do homework right off the bat. Quick slide, you guys know the opportunity. They're massive, they're huge. We could throw numbers at you all day. But this is the fun one. So you're talking to the business guy is gonna talk about commerce. So we really are seeing what is happening where we're entering a user-driven economy, where we can have direct feedback through technologies that you guys have today, very similar to DAOs and other voting metrics, that we can absolutely hear feedback and then iterate much faster than any Web 1 or Web 2 company can. But first off, I gotta get a better UI, UX experience. It's just not good today. We know every one of you guys around here is working on it, and we really, really need to spend the time to make sure that it's on point and it's easy for every generation. I like to say this is one of my quotes: blockchain is built for machines, immersive experiences are built for humans. And that's what we're building for, is the blockchain should be automated. We got all the bots and everything else that can manage it. The UI, UX with immersive technology like Metaverse absolutely needs to just be flawless. So e-commerce, you have so many more opportunities, and I just don't feel like we're seeing much taking advantage of that in metaverses today. So here's a couple good quotes. I'll give the AV guy a second to switch back for a video about where they think things are going.
We believe that the technology is more fundamental and something that will be underpinning a number of creative, community, brand activations and executions.
Instead of being vendor specific and using our IDs and profiles, we're going to go to universal IDs, universal avatars. Right. And that also may be an area where NFTs will play a role.
It's like, if we can figure the codec out, if you can figure out the operating system for metaverses, it's going to have the same effect, where suddenly we're going to go from, a niche thing that a couple people are using, but it's a struggle and it's hard, to really the floodgates of innovation, exploration.
And when people say that they will never spend like 10 hours a day in a metaverse, I reply that they already do. When you spend 10 hours a day on Google Meet, you're just spending time in a poor version of a metaverse.
What you'll see coming out of Vayner in the next couple of months is a lot of programs that are free, are open access, are really meant to be more sort of building that early community without these financial incentives, which I also think does preclude a lot of the more mainstream people from participating.
Spend 4 to 5 hours, and maybe it's more, to your point, in a more of a work environment, social environment, where during the day, we'll do that. At night, or during the day, we might go out for lunch with our friends or peers or whatever it may be. You're going to continue to wear those AR glasses, and that's where you're going to get information about phone calls, emails, all that type of stuff. And it's just going to become intertwined in with your day-to-day life.
So there's a lot of different questions, that we ask in the near term, but it really is about, how do we make this experience fun for everyone?
So, there we go. We'll blow out the speakers here eventually. So what's most important is these are all well-funded companies. These are all very in-depth founders that in most cases have had multiple successes and exits. They understand business, and they're coming now to Web3. And I think one of the most important parts that you heard is it's about the underlying technology till today, and that's what each and every one of you guys is working on and really focusing on. And then same in parallel, we need to make it fun, we need to make it inclusive, and we need to make it available. So the RP1 quote was, to me, one of the most important ones, talking about getting the codec and the streaming right, being able to deliver amazing, full quality experiences that aren't sacrificing the UI, UX, or the user experience for the sake of bandwidth. Years ago, we could barely stream 480i. Today, we can stream 4K, no problem, to a cell phone anywhere in the world. We have to get that same level of adoption on the base level of the OSs prior to any metaverse being able to succeed. So what does it look like? And this is where we spend a lot of time, same as every one of you, saying we want to skate to where the puck is going and not focus on making another Decentraland clone like so many have. So this is an amazing quote that just came out recently, and again, I think this really explains how hard this is. We want global adoption. I spend 80 hours a week with a massive team around the world focused on how do we take the businesses and institutions of today and onboard them onto Web3 over the next decade. It has to be good, and it has to be easy. So we believe Web3 is essentially the modular internet. And right now what we're seeing from metaverse deployments is it takes tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars with weeks to months of time to make a deployment. We have to get that down to hundreds of dollars and minutes to hours for deployment. Same as you can spin up a website on Squarespace in minutes, we've got to get the same thing happening for Web3. So we have a belief in a modular internet, a modular Web3, and a modular metaverse. And so what we'll do real quick is we're going to show you what we believe is the future at yWhales. This is the first time we've ever shown this publicly. This is our metaverse that's due to come out. What you're seeing is an MVP representation of an OS that sits underneath it that allows for us to reconfigure this entire space within minutes. Each booth has built-in commerce that allows for all the plug and play to happen. And each one of these pods is a single instance that connects both the visual and the commerce, as well as all the API pipes. So this is Y1. But the door that opens for smart contracts can be visualized through NFTs. So we know that it's possible. This entire model that you guys saw is already live. It lives in Unity. We're going through deployment now. We have, again, dozens and dozens of strategic partners, thousands of entrepreneurs around the world helping us with this. If this speech resonated with any of you, we'd love to spend the time and really work with each and every one of you to explain our theses of how we think, what we're building and why. But most importantly, we're about being inclusive. If you guys are working on a project that you believe it resonates with what we just talked about, we'd love to talk to you. I'll be waiting over here for you guys. Thank you so much.